I am going to start with my first guest now of the evening. And okay, so whether you have periods or not, we're all affected by them and by the female reproductive system. Let's just face it, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just through birth or whether it's through being on the receiving end of someone who's having a bad period, or maybe it's you might have PCOS or endometriosis or something. But in some way, shape, or form, we've all been affected by it one way or another, and no matter how loosely that might be. So Blossom, a guide to messy womanhood, is giving some insight to just that messy womanhood, the sometimes messy side that can directly affect us and those around us as a result as well. I am really delighted to be joined by Jade Flack. She's an actor, a singer, and now a playwright as well. So Jade joins me on the scene. Welcome, Jade.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome. It's my pleasure to have you. And you probably heard me talking there about starting something new and things that people are excited about starting. So I must ask you before we get into our chat, is there anything, I'm just bringing it on you, but anything that you've started which you've been particularly excited about? It could be a long
Yes.
time ago or recently. Go on, tell me.
Obviously, I'm so excited. I started playing the ukulele recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a new journey. I've finally just tuned it, so I'll be able to play it later on.
That is so exciting. How are you learning it?
And I'm learning it all online, so pray for me.
Yeah. And the people around you. And so is it from pre-recorded stuff, or is it like a Zoom live lesson that you're having, or how's that working out?
It's a mixture of both. My very talented friend plays it for a living, so I'm going to get them to give me some lessons when I'm in desperate need of them.
Oh, well, good for you. Well, I'm very pleased that you started that. That is brilliant. Well done, Jade. So look, that's something quite exciting for you to do in lockdown, but also very excitingly, you've created this production, Blossom, and I was having a watch this afternoon and it's great. I was so engaged and it really felt like I was, observing a conversation between four women. It was brilliant. So tell me about your lockdown and first of all, and then we'll perhaps get on to why you decided to tell this story. So how has lockdown been for you?
Lockdown has been quite boring. I've been a stickler for the rules, as I always am in everyday life.
Good.
So, yeah, only going out when I need to, and most of the time just pottering around my four walls. And I think that's kind of why I decided to write a play, really.
Yeah, and prior to this period, you've been acting and singing and everything. So I guess it was a real shock to the system not being able to get out and do all of those things which you normally do.
Yeah, it was awful. Like most people, Fringe was cancelled, Edinburgh Fringe, and then tours and pantomime. So I think we're all coming to terms, everyone in the creative industry, that unemployed is just the title we use now.
Well, look, you've put the time that you've had on your hands, like, we've all had this excess of time, and you have put it to amazing use. And your character, the character in your play, she creates a group chat online. And I think that this group chats online is something that we've all suddenly become so familiar with. So have you had lots of online chats prior to sort of putting this together? And is this part of the reason why you decided to make the production in this format?
Pretty much. So, like everything, like you said, we've all just gone online. I think everyone has a Zoom account now. If you don't, you're under a rock. And it's just been the way of trying to connect with people that you know, and a lot with everyone in my circle, at least. We've been doing play readings with people that we would have never met when we're working, which has been fantastic, around all different time zones as well. So it just kind of felt like there's no place like home. But I clicked the wrong pair of heels, apparently.
Oh, I love that. And so Michelle, your character, she's creating this online group, and it's to talk about, well, periods and the messy side of womanhood. And so again, before I get into that itself, is this something which is, I don't know, is it coming from a place of experience for you?
Yes, it is. It was also a way for me to deal with my own diagnosis. Right. So I've been diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And there are 4 types of PCOS. So mine has yet to be discovered which one it is, unfortunately.
Right.
But I was, as you do, you go to your search engine to figure out what you have. And once I was told that I was dying, I kind of got onto forums and such and listened to women who have had my diagnosis, who have had diagnoses that are perhaps worse than mine. And it got me thinking that not a lot of people know about these issues at all. We're told from a very young age that we get periods, and we're told to deal with it. It happens once a month. Get up, stop crying about it, and go about your day. But for some people, you physically can't do it. And I thought, why not, as I'm exploring my voice when dealing with this chronic illness, why not share some other people's stories along the ride?
So was that really debilitating for you, and are you managing it now then?
Oh yes, yeah, I'm managing it very, very well. That's been something over lockdown that I've been able to really sit down and home in at all of the issues that I was facing personally. But unfortunately, with PCOS and endometriosis, it affects people so differently that there's no set rule, there's no cure all for it, unfortunately.
So your own experience then was the reason to bring these women together in your, do you call it a play? Because I'm struggling with calling it a play because it's online and it's not in a theatre, but I don't know, with the production. So what are you calling it?
It's so weird, isn't it? Me and Min Theatre Make It Mine, who I've been working with, we've been tossing it up, and I think we've called it a COVID response to theatre.
Yeah.
Because ideally it's a play, so it's formatted as a play, but obviously it comes out as a film because otherwise no one else would see it.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got these conversations. So tell everybody then about the play, about the COVID response, and what people can expect. Because actually, I have to say, it felt for me when watching, being involved in these women's conversations, and I've definitely suffered from period pains and discomfort, and it does sometimes affect the people around you as well, because you're feeling low or upset or sometimes grumpy because of what you're experiencing. So these conversations, albeit that they might affect women, they're conversations for all, really, aren't they?
Definitely. For anyone who has a partner or has someone in their life who suffers from hormone imbalances or any of the endometriosis and PCOS, it's quite informative to just watch and see, because we do talk about relationships within the play. And it's all verbatim, which it's not just my story, it's women all over the world.
So tell us about that then. So when you say it's verbatim, these are real stories, right, that you've brought to life?
Yes, yeah, they were all found on forums and group chats and from conversations that I've had with willing volunteers as I've been researching. Sorry, go on.
No, carry on. I was just, I think you were going to elaborate. So tell me about the themes that you got from these conversations.
Yeah, I just got a sense of women uniting when I was looking online, and I thought that's something that I think people need to understand, because periods, I think when I grew up in school learning about periods, it was a very private thing. You weren't supposed to let anyone else know, or you're not really supposed to talk about it only with your mum. But what happens if your mum's not there at the time that you need her, which happens in this play at one point for unfortunately this character's first period. Which is not ideal at all, but it's women supporting women, and that's why it's a messy guide to womanhood, because it's just stories and responses and old wives' tales that are so true even right now.
Yeah. And so I think what's really great then is that, these four women who are having this conversation, they're all so different. So I think that people watching can probably, there's a bit of, you can identify with a little bit of each of them, or perhaps one of them particularly. And was that important for you to do?
Definitely, because it's not just one age group that periods affect. These endometriosis and PCOS, they affect you even after the menopause. So for me, it was really important to have our youngest character, Luna, who's just started her period, so she's about 10 to 11 years old, all the way up to our eldest, who's Carol, and she's in the menopause at the moment, reminiscing and still trying to figure out her endometriosis. because unfortunately for a lot of women, it goes undiagnosed for years. But going on 20 years, some people have it undiagnosed.
Gosh, I mean, that's
crazy.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And I think, for a lot of people who have been in that position themselves, I guess, when finally getting that diagnosis must be so liberating to finally know, right, this is what's happening, and this is how I can now start to get in control of my body, because as you say, everybody's experience is quite unique, but it's just that knowing, I think, will take some of the animosity and the fear and discomfort out of it.
Oh, definitely. And mental health wise as well, it must be a relief to know that you're not going crazy and that it's not just a cramp, it's not just period pain.
How long was it for you between your diagnosis and first getting symptoms for your PCOS?
It was 10 years.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I'm only 23.
Yeah.
if you count back, it was crazy. And again, everyone thought I was, because I just started, that I'm just getting used to it and that it's just a cramp, but it wasn't. It was more severe than that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't taken seriously.
And how was it for you then when you finally got your diagnosis 10 years later?
Actually very liberating, because I knew something was wrong, and the thing that I wanted to stress in this play was that if you feel that something is wrong, do not doubt it. Don't give in to society's way of trying to suppress you by just saying it's a period, deal with it. If you think there's something abnormal, tell someone, because you're the only person who knows your body better than anyone, funnily enough. It's yours.
And I think particularly in a time like this, when we are looking at our four walls, and people might think, oh, it's not important, but it's so important for your well-being, and then for your overall health. But it's so important for your well-being. And so, look, tell me about ActionAid, because you've decided that you're raising money through this conversation, through this play, for ActionAid. So tell us about why you chose ActionAid to support.
I chose ActionAid because ever since I've been able to earn my own money, I've been donating to ActionAid, because from a young age, 16 plus, I resonated with the company. They're a brilliant international charity, and they work with women and girls living in poverty. And their dedicated staff are changing the world with women and girls. They're ending violence against women, fighting against period poverty and poverty for women. They're educating women on their own bodies as well, because some girls and some women don't go back to school if they bleed because they're told that they're dirty. Some are sent off to caves for a week while they bleed.
Wow.
And it's scary to think that something so natural and something that's a bodily function, women are told to fear. And the idea is it's ridiculous. So I decided to help ActionAid, and they've been amazing backwards and forwards, talking to all of us throughout the whole ordeal and giving us so much information, which is available at the end of the COVID response play film thing.
The amazing production which you have put together is what we'll call it. So look, if people would like to watch and support, how can they do that? I think there's just so many levels to this. So how can people get involved and support and then watch and everything else?
If they'd like to watch, they can pop on over to our Just Giving fundraising page, which is available at www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Blossom2020. And if they scroll on down, they'll be able to find our YouTube link to the production.
Oh, great stuff. Well, listen, Jade, it's really great to talk to you, and thank you for what you're doing, raising this awareness around periods and the conversation around the various conditions as well, which can affect us and those around us as a result. So thank you for that, and all the best with it. And I highly recommend that people go and have a watch and make a little donation to ActionAid as well, if wherever possible. I'm sure donations large and small are all accepted, right?
Yeah, oh, yes, please. Anything. 50p will be amazing.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Jade, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Lovely, Jade. Do check it out if you're able to.